This is Automotive Repair News Today. Thanks for checking out this video, this podcast on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and comment with your thoughts. Follow along on social media because today is about the Repair Act, and we are in a critical time right now with Congress about to take a little break for the election. So, critical couple of weeks here as we hopefully see this Repair Act passed or hear some progress happening with what's going on with the Repair Act in the automotive industry. Hi there, my name is Braxton Critcher. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I've got Dwayne Myers, and today's video is focusing mainly on technology. Technology is crazy, improving in all aspects of life, and you just heard my phone go off. Who has control over the information that comes from the technology? That's most of what this Repair Act is all about. And so Dwayne has perspective that I want to hear, and we're going to learn together because if you know me, I'm from outside the automotive industry. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm learning every day, but I don't know a ton about this stuff, especially when it comes to legislation. So that's why Dwayne is here because he's, well, maybe a little bit more in the know on stuff like this. So Dwayne, thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for asking. I'm glad to be here.
So let's just jump right in with the technology side of things. Give me your perspective of where this is at and why this is important for consumers right now.
You know, with the advancement of the car and where it's heading, and really even in the next 10 years, it's amazing what's coming down the line. Everything needs security and protection, but what those doors are giving the manufacturers is the ability to lock them and to lock us out. It used to be we could pretty much get into any system in every car. We had a way to do it. It's starting now that they're putting more barriers in place. And all there is a gentleman's handshake that basically we're going to work together. We're going to grant you access. But you're starting to hear more and more things. It wasn't that long ago, a couple years ago, I believe it was Volvo wanted to remove the ODB2 connector. And they were going to do that in their new vehicles. Everything was going to be wireless. No way to plug the scan tool in anymore. The state of California stopped that. They said if we don't have the IM 240 ability to do emission testing, you can't sell your cars. Uh, Once you go wireless, it's no different in your house. All I got to do is put a password on it. You cannot get in. I can give it to you if I want, but then I can change it or I can charge you for it. And what's worse than a customer bought a car, average cost 50,000. Let's say that you bought a vehicle and the data that your car produces is not yours. That's the OE's standpoint. They feel the data that's produced by the cars belongs to the manufacturer. And it doesn't. It should belong to the consumer, the person that bought the car. It's the same to me as Microsoft is with Word or with Excel. You license the software, which is what the route they're trying to go. You're licensing the software in the car because Lord knows there's a lot of code in cars now. Um, but with Microsoft, if you produce a document or an Excel spreadsheet, you own that content. You don't own you don't own Excel. You license it, but you own the product. Car manufacturers are saying, no, we own that data and we're going to control how we let that out. Currently, we get most of what we need, but that could change. I mean, are you willing to risk your everything you've worked for as a shop owner, even as a technician? You spent your whole career working on cars, and then one day they say, all right, well, now you can't work on these anymore. Or you have to pay $100 for access for each car or whatever it is. It's just what's right, not. And also, as we grow as a profession, I know people say we're a trade. I believe we're a profession. Watching the team work on vehicles now is amazing. I think we need to have some things in place to guarantee the consumer's right and our right to be able to actually repair these vehicles.
So, as a consumer, why do I care? Because, I know a little bit about vehicles, but for the most part, I think I'm in the average group of consumers that just want their car to get them from point A to point B. As long as it starts, it's safe, and it does that, I'm happy. So, this information, what does that do to me with the Repair Act? I mean, does that change the end result as for a consumer?
It changes options to me. Right now, you have a lot of options. You can go to the manufacturer, which is dealers are about 30% of the repair work, and the aftermarket is about 70% of the repair work. But if we're not able to get access to that data, it forces you back to the dealer. And I have no problems with the dealer. I think we need to work together. I think this actually helps them as well. The Repair Act. I think it's actually good for the dealerships as well, but uh, it limits your ability to make a choice and convenience. We can get you in and out pretty quick where a dealer can back you up quite a ways, but it also becomes monetized. There's already spots in the news where you hear of manufacturers selling data, the data they're collecting. All we want is repair data. And that's what the Repair Act says. We want no personal information. We want no access to it. And they can do that. I don't care that they stop by McDonald's 3 times a week. And I don't care that they do it at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And I don't care, but somebody that's selling, vitamins and health stuff might want to know that, because then they can market to you, or your insurance company might want to know that you drove fast when you went there, because it's going to affect your race. People are getting this information already, but they're making money. I believe they're going to make more money off of data than they do off selling cars. It
Yeah.
look at a lot of your social media platforms. They're free to join. Now, car's not free. You're spending a lot of money on it, but they do that because through marketing and data analytics, they're able to produce a revenue stream that's amazing. And this, to the customer, not only is their information getting out there, that's a different fight, but not allowing us to have access to it really limits it. All right, if your car breaks down and you got to go to the dealer, they're 4 weeks out. What are you going to do? And you're going on a trip. You're stuck. You either buy a new car, rent something. I mean, it just limits options, and then of course it harms our industry. And we're here for the consumer.
I don't want to throw names out there and be wrong, so definitely fact check this, but I think it was Stellantis that sold information to insurance companies. Have you heard that? I
I don't know if it was them, but I do know quite a few.
That's happened.
Yeah,
That's
and
happened.
there was
Maybe
another.
GM too.
There was another big American company, automaker, that just got a lawsuit. I believe
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah. It's
pretty large lawsuit for selling information. So
right.
they weren't going to do that, and then all of a sudden they're doing that. It comes down to money, and in the end, they do need us. We know that, but if they can monetize it, they're going to. It's no different than the arcade game. If you want to play, you got to keep putting quarters in. Well, who ends up paying for that? The consumer does. Well, they already bought the car, and now you're asking for them to pay for it again.
So with things like you're talking about, this is getting ahead of future expenses that a lot of people like myself may not be aware of, right? So if the Repair Act doesn't pass, which we can get into your perspective on that, which you think it will, but if it doesn't, how far away are we from seeing impacted consumers with vehicles not having the choices, prices going up? How far down the road is that realistically?
Well, just with inflation, prices have been going up
Well, yeah,
substantially
that's
here lately.
true.
But I think a bigger problem with this is we're already seeing each manufacturer doing things a little differently. Uh, Stellantis is a big one when it comes to their secure networks. And then all of a sudden they'll put an infotainment center on the secure network, or an ABS system on the secure network, and you're like, but we can't access that network. Only the manufacturer, the dealer can. We can if we do this or that, but then there's a paid subscription to that.
Hmm.
It's I believe in security, but there's ways to do it where uh, it's controlled. And the way the Repair Act is written is whatever they charge the dealerships is what they charge us. Right now, the dealers are getting data wirelessly that we do not get. They know things that we don't know. That's only going to grow, and especially if they pull away the port where you plug in your scan tool, and I know that that's the world we're heading to, but it's the access to that. That's where you literally, once that is protected, or we don't have access to it, there's no cable you can buy to get around it. I mean, it's no different than a firewall you have on your home network.
So obviously in the American economy, free market is a big deal. Having the choices like you're talking about is, I mean, what kind of America is founded on? The
Hmm.
freedoms. To me, the Repair Act, it sounds like a no-brainer. It makes a lot of sense for people who own cars, for repair shops. Are there people on the other side of it that don't want it to pass? Like, is this a dealership versus independent repair shops? Who are there people that don't want it to pass, and why, if there are?
There are people who don't want it to pass, and they have their motives. And I wouldn't say it's dealership against the aftermarket. I say it's manufacturers against all of us.
Okay,
I think the dealers are mainly, to me, I believe they're sitting on the sidelines. They're not overly involved, but there are different entities. And I would stress to say that the manufacturers like us more than they like their own dealer network some days. But but I don't lost my train of thought. You got help me back here.
it's not dealership versus
Yeah,
independent; it's manufacturer versus
yeah,
independent.
that's right. It's the manufacturers, and I think there's certain groups that benefit. Some associations have agreements with these manufacturers, and they work together in other areas. And I'm not going to name them. I don't want to go there.
That's fine.
I've had disagreements with some associations, and I say, why? If you didn't agree with it, why didn't you just sit on the sidelines? And you didn't have to support the other side when you say that you're supporting shops. I think it's a complete opposite to what you're actually showing. But yeah, there's some that don't. Some don't understand. Some of them have their own motives, and some people have their own opinions, and they're allowed to have those. We can disagree. But when you go to the state of Massachusetts, they voted in 2020, 75% passed it, their version of the Right to Repair Act, and they instantly sued them. And they have enacted the law. Now they're working through it. They're not complying, but the law actually is active, even though the judge has not ruled on that court case. And then they went to Maine, and I think it was 85% of the public supported it. That law, actually, they just created a governance committee that has members from all different parts of the industry. So that's actually moving forward. So state-wise, they're moving the needle. Federal is harder, but it is necessary. That way, we get some consistency. The last thing we want is to have 50 states with 50 different laws, because the manufacturers do have to be able to produce a vehicle.
Yeah, yeah,
They,
yeah.
they can't produce 50 versions of it because that'll just cost us more money too.
Where are you at on legislation versus over legislation? I mean, there's definitely a line somewhere. It's hard to always find it, but
Hmm.
you know, in some cases, like in this one, you need some rules, some guidelines to follow. That's kind of the same deal with advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS. I mean, there needs to be some governmental oversight with that. So where's the line? Where's too much? What's too little? I mean, I feel like we're probably at too little right now, but how do you feel about,
Yeah.
that kind of thing?
But right now, there's really not any. There's MOUs, memorandum of understanding. That's not even a handshake agreement. That's just basically, we agree to work together. And you do until you don't. Uh, that's all that is. The Repair Act was written in a way to try and keep it simple. To not, we didn't need a lot, because to us it was the simple things, basically doing what we've always done. We've repaired these cars for over 100 years. We've had access to information. Now with today's technology, there's ways in there now to block that, and some of it is for security. I mean, we do know that they need to be protected, but there's ways to do that, and still allow access so that we can do our jobs.
Does it get passed, and when?
Sure, hope so. It's going to get passed. I do believe that. Uh, it's got a lot of support. Uh, we're at a critical time right now. There's only a few weeks left before they go on recess to campaign, because we got a big election coming up. And yearly things reset. You resubmit a bill if it doesn't go anywhere. Ours has gone. It has moved. I mean, it's been through markup. They've had testimony done on it. Uh, they've gone through in the committee and actually worked on it. We believe the votes are there to get it out of committee and actually go to Congress and actually be voted on. The Senate is a little further behind, but yeah, you got to get both sides and then they come together. But we have a lot of support on both sides, and it's bipartisan. It's like Noah's Ark. They add one Democrat with one Republican, and they'll have one waiting in the wings, and they won't add them until they can do it evenly to show this is even across the board, because this isn't just an automotive issue. This is a farmer issue with tractors. This is an issue with your cell phones. I mean, you can go down the line. Medical equipment. That's why Congressman Dunn, I believe, I'm not sure if he's from Pennsylvania or Florida. I'm sorry, I don't know what state he's from, but he's one of the lead sponsors, and he's a doctor, and he knows what it costs to have medical equipment fixed, and you have to send it back to the manufacturer, and he doesn't have it when he could use someone else, but they can't access it. These things are it's all over. It's just not the automotive industry, but they're all finding ways to make money by blocking access.
It's all about money.
It's
All
what it comes
goes
down
back to
to.
money.
It goes back to money.
So let's say it gets passed, and maybe it does happen in this 3-week window. And this is where you got to educate me on legislative stuff. This is maybe I skipped over third grade, but I just don't know a ton about how it all works.
I never did the civics B, so I AutoCare's taught me a lot.
Okay. Well, good. Maybe I should subscribe to more auto care stuff. But when it gets passed, how long till it, becomes everyday lingo and it actually is making a difference in the community and the automotive industry?
I would say getting it actionable, because it takes time to put these systems in, even though now they've been proven and there's systems out there that they are using already to do stuff with. I'd say realistically, probably a couple years
Okay.
to do, which comes quicker than you realize, because so model years, once they get them running, they just don't stop the line and change things, which I get that. I understand that, but I would say it would take a couple years. But once it's passed, now the precedent's set, and now it's we at least keep what we had, and we don't lose access to things, which can happen at a whim. I mean, literally, all they can say is, "Well, you don't get access to this system starting this model year," or if they do over-the-air updates, which they do. They don't do not all systems, but they do a lot of them over the air. They can turn things on and off just like that.
What else? What else, should I know, should other consumers know about this that's important?
Really, that your voice means a lot. And basically, I think all shops and the motoring public uh, should let their elected officials know that they support the Repair Act and how important it is, because it's their vehicle. It's usually their second largest investment that they make, and it directly affects its value and what it means to them. But they can go to AutoCare's website, autocare.org, and they can actually log into the government affairs part and send letters to their representatives, or they can just reach out to AutoCare and they'll help. But really, we're letting an association dictate our ability to make a living. The association is for everyone in the aftermarket, which the right to repair affects all of them, because if we can't put on parts, they can't sell parts. So it makes a difference. But everyone has a voice. Reach out to your representatives, say something, tell them to support it. The noise is loud and they're hearing it. We just got to move the needle, because there's a lot of political power and money out there on the OE side. I mean, they got big pockets, and we're just a bunch of little guys and girls that are running little shops that are trying to move a needle here, and it's getting moved.
Good. Well, thanks, Dwayne.
That's my pleasure.
As always, we want to hear from you. This stuff is like Dwayne was talking about. I mean, input from you actually does make a difference. I feel like sometimes when you think you're the little guy in the little shop or the little person in the little house, that your voice doesn't make a difference. But if you saw the news recently, The Auto Care Association has helped over 100,000 letters be sent to Congress about the Repair Act. And so when that many get sent, that is a big wave for Congress, and for this to be it pricks the ears a little bit to Congress people. So your voice is valuable. It's valuable in this space, on this YouTube channel, on this podcast platform. So if you can, if you have a second, send a comment. Let us know about the content that you're watching, that you're listening to, if it's valuable to you. And if it is, then share that with somebody. Share this on your favorite social media platform. Get the news out there about what's happening with the Repair Act, because it is important. People need to know about it. People like myself, I'm learning a lot. And if you're a consumer, this is a big deal. It really is. And in 10 years, I mean, it's the things that are happening now in a decade. I think we'll be seeing the benefits from. So it's great stuff, and I'm glad that you joined us for this video on automotive repair news today. Do all the things: like, comment, share, subscribe, and we'll see you back next time on Automotive Repair News Today.